pretty stoked about this audio setup, actually.
We're live already. You just told everyone you're stoked.
Good. I am stoked.
Okay.
It's
Hey,
the truth.
everyone. Blake and I are here for our monthly chat about music and everything in between, mental health, life, right?
Yes, all of the good things that
Can't
we
be
all
live.
need.
I mean, we're live, technically internet live, but we can't be live in person right now, which bums me out. I hope next month we can be live.
We will. It'll be soon.
If anyone saw my post from yesterday, a little car ride of me and Zoe singing, that is going to be Blake and I at some point. We are going to hop in a car and we're going to drive around and sing. And I'm going to make Blake sing a bunch of really cheesy, like 80s music and, everything you hate.
I think 80s is my favorite of all.
For reals?
So, yeah, I'll karaoke out to some 80s music.
Oh, man. I'm going to will you sing Justin Bieber with me?
I don't know if I know any Justin Bieber.
How can you not know any?
I don't know, to be honest with you, I've made a point to not know any Justin Bieber. It's almost like
I'm like shook right now.
It's a point of pride for me to not know Justin Bieber music.
Don't say that out loud. I'm trying to tag the beeps and everything.
You know what? I like Bieber. I just don't like his music.
Sounded like you said I like Bieber.
Well, that too.
So usually, we talk about you being a coffee shop singer.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that tonight. I picture us like tonight. We left the coffee shop. We found this like really divey, great little bar where everyone knows everybody. We walk in and they're like, "What do you want?" And they got, OV splits, like just shitty beer, but great whiskey.
Paps.
That's my picture us tonight.
I feel like this feels like that.
Right? This sort of does.
The dingy back wall of an overcrowded dungeon bar.
So what Blake and I did this time was I have been telling him about how music has been a source of comfort for me, both in lyrics and in the sound. When I walk at night, I tend to listen to music a lot. And, I find music that, I don't want to say speaks to me because that sounds so freaking corny, but sometimes you hear a song and you're like, oh my God, like that's me. Like, holy crap, that's me. And there's a couple songs that I really feel that way. And it's not always about the beat or the musical part of it, but it is about the words. I think people need to find all sorts of outlets to help them. And music definitely has been one of my outlets, 100%. And sometimes it's me singing Justin Bieber in the car really loud and, laughing. And that feels great too. But so I asked Blake to send me a song. And he sent me two. One I already knew, and one I saw the name come up, but I didn't really know the words to it or anything of that nature. And I took a walk last night, and I've been having a really hard few days. It's been really shitty. Family stuff going on, personal stuff going on, and just, my normal inner bullshit that plays in my head like a,
right.
It's so easy to tell people, be strong and, use your tools and to do this and, give advice and give your experience. It's really hard to take that advice sometimes, especially when you're low. And I've been really low lately. So the song you sent me was like perfect for me because I've been conflicted about myself. And I think a lot of people who live with depression and anxiety and suicidal ideations feel exactly that way. They feel like an imposter and that they can't figure out who they are. And that goes back to what would you miss, right? Because the whole point of what would you miss is to find those little things about yourself that give you worth. And, there's Justin. He's our biggest fan.
Yes.
Right?
Justin, I miss you, man. We haven't spoken in a few weeks. Let's do that soon.
I miss him too. And we talk so much that I'm pretty sure Julia's like, she doesn't fucking know. Jesus.
We're going to reel Justin into one of these live streams pretty soon.
Justin should come when I come down to see you. Justin, that is not Stupid Dumb Breast Cancer saying that. I'm pretty sure I know who that is. Anyways, Justin should come down when I come to see you, and we should hop in the car and we should make Justin sing really bad, cheesy. Justin definitely knows Justin Bieber, by the way.
Oh yeah. But the only way I'll probably end up belting Justin Bieber out is if Justin mixes a few drinks for us beforehand.
Definitely.
He's
Although
a legendary mixer.
he's a mixologist.
Mhm.
That's a word.
Mixologist. I've got a
So
little secret ingredient for you, Justin. This is
what is it?
kombucha.
Oh, it's
Kombucha tea
kombucha.
that we're making it in our house
Nice.
in the
Nice.
kombucha dungeon. So if you can make a mixed drink with this, we will be singing Bieber
I'm drinking Diet Coke.
through the streets of Raleigh. Oh no, Diet
No,
Coke.
we're definitely going to sing. And you talk about 80s music. We'll make Steven drive the car because he's the 80s king.
Oh, good. Good. I love Steven.
I do too. So here we go. This is
Well,
what? You're interrupting me already.
It's too easy to be interrupted when you're sharing things that are a little more sensitive. It's easy to be interrupted and move on to something else. And I think that's kind of pretty in line with our topic of,
Yeah.
letting yourself feel it and sharing it and being okay with it and figuring it out. So you should share what you were going to share before Justin started
Before
bothering
Justin
you.
rudely interrupted us with his comment. All he said was hi. He actually said he loved me and you're just okay. But
Oh, great.
So part of my struggle has been who I am. And for a long time, I felt as though I had to put on a persona for people to like me. And that's really hard to do when you have to constantly be on and, be watching yourself. And then I also felt as though I was being smothered a little bit because I am loud. I'm not going to deny that. I'm obnoxious. I'm not going to deny that. But that's who I am. I'm not hurtful in that way. But when people make comments about it, it kind of makes you recluse and not want to be who you are. And that's been really hard for me. So there was a couple lines in your song. One being, this is who I am. This is who I've been all along. And I really like that freaking hit me because I've been this person my whole life. I don't know how to be anybody else. And I want to be her. Like, that's who I want to be. I want to be me. And then, I have a lot of people that remind me to, who I was and who I need to be and not to go backwards, to stay forward. And those are great people in my life who support me and, created a really safe space for me to be able to say hard things. But what got me was the last line. I'm going to read it. I'm going to try to not cry when I read it. So don't you remember, this is who you remember, this is who you are. This is who you've been all along. This is where to go from here. This is why it's taken you so long. And my heart beats heavy. And your heart beats heavy. It reminded me of my mom. Like, I felt like at the end of that, she was trying really hard to say to me, you've been this person and you may not remember her, but I do. And I was just talking to actually Steven about it. And I said, this reads more like a poem than a song to me. And I really felt that way. I felt like it was very poetic. We're not going to talk about what Blake really meant by this song yet. It's really my perception of it. And that's kind of what we're discussing with music and art and anything of that nature. We perceive something the way we need to see it and hear it, because at that time, that's what we need to hear or see. It may not be what the person intended. However, it's what you needed. And I needed my mom to remind me of who I was. And it just, the way it was worded, it just reminded me a lot of that. So with that being said, I think we'll let Blake play the song.
I'd love to.
And then we will, look at, I'm gonna put that right there. And then we will come back and hear what he meant by it.
Awesome.
You ready?
One second though. To your point, sometimes I am hesitant to even share what I really intended behind the song because it's so important. For me, the music I've been most moved by, I'm one of those guys that is really into the lyrics of a song as a songwriter, obviously. And so often when I look up a song, I'm almost not let down, but I'm like, wow, that's so different from how I felt it the first time.
Right.
The important thing to remember, though, is you never really lose that first interpretation. Even if you find out it came from a different place,
Absolutely.
you never lose it.
I agree with that.
Funny enough, in this scenario, it's pretty dead on, though. So
interesting.
I'm really happy that it reached you and
Well, I can't wait to listen to you play it first, and then I can't wait to really talk about it.
Awesome.
So, by Justin's comment. And
all right. They say go, but what are you moving toward? And I say slow down, 'cause you're thinking faster and moving backwards, round and round. Well, don't you remember the animal? Don't you remember the untouchable you? Oh, this is who I am, yeah. This is who I've been all along. This is where to go from here. This is why it's taking you so long. And my heart beats heavy, calm and steady. You are the natural one. And while my heart beats heavy, you're still burning with the fire of the sun. Well, don't you remember the artist? Don't you remember the warrior? This is who you are. This is who you've been all along. This is where to go from here. This is why it's taking you so long. And your heart beats heavy, yeah. And your heart beats heavy, 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 yeah, yeah. Whoa. And your heartbeat.
that was so beautiful. I just love you. First of all, I was corrected that he said it was poetic. I just agreed, but we'll give him the, whatever.
Well,
semantics.
They all start with a poem.
They do.
Sure. They do.
So seriously, I really felt as though it was a song that my mom was singing to me and reminding me of, who I was and where I needed to be. And I don't know if that was your intention or what, but it was beautiful.
Well, thank you. Thank you. I think the reason that it broke through to you and probably made you think up, maybe that it sounds like a moment of encouragement, like between you and your mom, where she's trying to remind you that there is a person that we all are. Like we all have that inner self, inner child, whatever you want to call it, that is innocent. It is you, it's unique, and it's that. And then it gets changed by our environment and by our experiences, and sometimes for the better, sometimes for the worse. And for me, that song kind of resembles a moment in my life that I doubted myself the most, that I was least proud of who I was, that I was most insecure, and just a shell of that inner child that you owe it to that inner child to protect and to be and to to nurture. And so that song helped me actually get through a hard time. It was a few different things. I lost my stepfather the same year, and I got injured when I was playing baseball, and had a relationship fall through the cracks, and just ended up having to make a decision between becoming a product of my experience, right, or protecting who I really am, and remembering that is who I'm going to stay. And so that's what it meant to me. And I mean, your mom was right. You always owe it to yourself to be that. Like, why not? We're going to pass pretty soon anyway, maybe right, 100 years if we're lucky on the earth. And in a nutshell, what are we going to leave behind if we're not unique in ourselves?
So it's kind of interesting because that's exactly how I've been feeling, like just, ugh, and not at a really great point. Doesn't mean I'm a bad person. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. Just not needed a reminder of, even though my beautiful people in my life tell me that, it just, sometimes you need that reminder in a different way, not one that's like in front of you in your business.
Right.
I think it's also important. I don't know if everybody even knows, but who's watching this, my mother died when I was 1. So it's important to get those little signs every now and then to just, make me feel like she's watching over me and she's still a part of my life. So it's ironic and beautiful at the same time to me that you thought about your stepdad, who I know you love like, a father.
Yeah,
so,
absolutely.
Yeah. It's heavy.
It's heavy. And I think for me, it's something that I have to remember. I have to recall that all the time. That came at a hard time, but I deal with that struggle daily of who am I? Why does it matter? And I think at the end of the day, when I do get into my deepest ruts, it's because you kind of have to choose between being happy and being yourself sometimes.
You're 100% right.
Like, sometimes it's not the best thing to be yourself. It doesn't feel great. It doesn't feel like acceptable, but you have to do it.
But you have to be yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Even at your worst.
Right.
You have to still be you, because truth be told, someone recently said to me, if you could go back and, do something over, would you not have tried to kill yourself? And I said, no, actually, that's where I learned my biggest lessons was, not that I think anyone should get that far, but that's how I learned how to cope. And what I mean is I learned tools after that. I learned that this wasn't what I wanted, that there's people that do love me, and I wouldn't change any of my mistakes. They got me to who I am. And I think what I did learn is that if I reached out more, I would have gotten the help that I needed. And that's where I would have been myself. And that's really hard. It's really hard.
Right. If you had been more true to yourself in the first place.
Right. Yeah, because the reality is when you're hurting that bad and you think, God, there's nobody, and this is what you think. Okay. I'm not making this up. Nobody's going to care if I'm gone. They're not going to care because I'm a burden to them. They're not going to care because I drive them crazy. They're not going to care because I get on their nerves. They're not going to care because, I screwed up that project I was supposed to turn in. You think that in your head and you then believe it. And the truth of it is all of those people would care so deeply if you weren't here. So deeply. But you have to care about yourself in order for them to care.
Right.
And I think the bigger picture here is that's where we find a little bit of our worth in our mistakes, in ourselves. Because, I know singing in the car seems really fucking stupid to people. Like, I get it. Like, you're probably like, I've pulled up next to people and they're like looking at me like, what the hell? Guess what? It makes me feel great. And it makes me feel like, this is fun. Like, I can be myself in this element and no one's going to give a shit. And that gives me a little bit of hope.
Right. And anyone who would ever shit on that is dealing with their own struggle of, can I be myself or can I please people? It's one or the other, and they're trying to choose. I always envy that when I see somebody letting loose. Like,
Then you should never go to Target with me, because let me tell you, I sing through the whole store. I've been thinking a lot about like what my grandmother used to say to me. She used to have all these stupid fucking sayings that she would say. And, I remember coming home one day and being like, Chrissy's talking about me to Josie, and Josie's, spreading this rumor about me. And I'm sobbing and I'm crying and I'm just, a mess because these people are talking about me. And I remember her looking at me and being like that. Well, that says a lot about them. And, you're 15, you don't think, like, you think in your head, what does she mean? But as an adult, I totally get it. Like, when people talk shit and get inside your head like that, that's not about your character. That's about them. And that's on them. We can't control what they're saying about us. We can control our reaction to it. And that's super, super hard to do, is to control your reaction and not make it super, intense and obnoxious and, all that great stuff.
Yeah. And in a nutshell, when you're talking about mental health, that is, to your point of the, when you hit rock bottom, the thing that may have curbed that earlier would have been you being more true to yourself and not fighting your nature so much, maybe, or not fighting your vulnerability. And I think that's exactly what people are doing when they end up spreading that cancerous negativity to others, and they need to address what's going on inside of them. But more than ever with this COVID quarantine, everyone's inside. We're all being experimented on with, with information, disinformation. Nobody knows what to think. Anxiety levels are the highest they could be.
They sure are.
If you're confused about who you are right now, it's never been harder to find that and to be comfortable with that. So I think it's a hard time, but the only reason I haven't been to rock bottom where you've been, as far as trying to kill myself or doing something horrible, is that I have been so lucky to have an outlet with songwriting, with music.
Right.
Just
you got to use your tools.
Yeah, a place to pour that. And you're right, it's a tool, and everyone needs a tool.
Yeah. Suicide's at an all-time high right now. We're hitting numbers that we never thought we'd see before. Between suicide, overdose, drug overdose, and alcohol abuse, we're projected during COVID to have seen between 75 and 125,000 deaths just because of COVID related.
Wow.
Also, on that same note, though, crisis lines are seeing like crazy, like 1,000% increase, because people are reaching out because they don't know what to do. And I think that's really important, is reaching out is, it's just pivotal. And I'm sure he's not watching this, but a good friend of mine, his name is Gabe. He made an incredible movie. It's called A Beautiful Day Tomorrow. Google it. I think it's still on YouTube, but he said something to me once, and it was truly the most brilliant comment ever. And he said, memes don't save people. Walks don't save people. Facebook posts don't save people. People save people. And that's what he means is, we need to reach out. And that means you need to tell that person that is your safety and isn't going to judge you what's going on. Not just for you, for them too. Because if I've learned anything throughout my years of life, 48 years of life, the one thing is people do want to help, right? So we have to give them that chance to help us. Will they screw up and maybe say the wrong thing? Possibly, but they could say the right thing, and they need to help us. They want to be able to help us. So let's let them. You just need to know your safety people. I mean, that's just truth. I mean, because some people just don't get it and they're going to shut off. Right.
And I mean, tell me if you think I'm wrong, but in my experience, it's not the person that helps you really. If you're in need of advice, or if you're in need of support or love, it's your openness to accept it from anyone that is around, or anything that's around. It kind of starts with you. So if you don't put yourself in a position to accept the support, you're not going to see it, even if it's there.
Right. And that all goes back to reaching out, though, right? So if we reach out to the person and they create a space where we can have a conversation with them, what's going to be great is that you're going to feel a little bit better, because you even just let it out. Like, you just said it out loud, to be able to, it's really hard to ask for help. It's even harder to say, I need help because I think I want to kill myself. That's really hard to say. And honestly, that's the whole reason why I created What Would You Miss? Because it's easy to go to someone and say, you know, Blake, if you weren't here, I would really miss doing this with you.
Yeah.
You see, it made you smile, right?
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And what it does is it makes you feel, first of all, that you're wanted. Second of all, it makes you feel like, wow, they would miss me if I was gone. Maybe I'm not a burden. And that creates a really great pattern for you. So you're going to play us another song.
Okay.
Let's do it in reverse this time.
Okay. I'll talk about it.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about this song.
Well, let's see. I think it's Summer Sailing is what we said. Summer Sailing, right? That I'd play, or was it something else?
You do you, baby.
All right. Maybe I'll play Rich then. This is a song. It's not out yet.
Ooh. You mean it's heard first here?
Yeah, it is. Yes.
Should we have you play it and then we'll talk about it?
Maybe so. Yeah, okay. Maybe so.
All right. So here we go. What's it called?
Rich.
Rich.
With
my buddy Blake.
Yeah. Awesome. I want to remember your face, your ways. I long for forever while standing in place. I love who you follow, 'cause he walks on water and you walk on me. But the ocean's relentless, he claws at the shore, fighting for more and screaming. You'll see. 'Cause my life is rich now, it's all I wanted for yours. We gambled and lost with time we could not afford. We could not afford. Your halo was heavy. If only I had known I would be your hero. I want to be better, to answer your letter, but I was a ghost. When you begged for forgiveness and pled we're all sinners, still you got stoned. And with God as my witness, I split your stitches with every stone thrown. Sending you home. My life is rich now, it's all I wanted for yours. We gambled and lost with time we could not afford. We could not afford. Life is rich, oh, life is rich, oh, life is rich. Oh. Could not afford.
That was beautiful. Look at you, got your little fan club here. Justin says #talent. And you are so talented. You truly, truly are. So I have some thoughts about that song. I'm curious to know where you were coming from with it. But when I listen to it, it just reminds me of someone, wanting to let someone know that it's okay to go. Like, that's really how I just took it. Like, go live your life. Go do this.
That's awesome. I love that. I love that interpretation. Yeah, I love that. Do you want me to let you expand on that a little more before I?
Well, I mean, like, as I was listening to it, it just reminds me of, like, when your kids are grown up and you want them to go live their life, like, go live it. This is, I'm good here. Don't worry about me. You go on and do what you got to do. It, it sort of reminded me of this, and it's going to seem a weird correlation, but there's a saying in recovery, and it's be the person you needed when you were younger. And that's what it sort of reminds me of, is like the person is telling them to go be the person that they need to be, basically, and that they've already done it. Like, go and be that person. So let me hear.
That's awesome. Yeah. So that song came from a place of regret, more so from losing someone before I got to make peace with the whole thing. And so the kind of coin line of the song is, we gambled and lost with time we couldn't afford. And the reason I thought of that song, though, is because what we were just discussing with, being who you are and unapologetically reaching out for help when you need it. And it's something that I've always been a prideful bastard at times. And, in this situation, it came back to bite me with some pretty harsh regret. But, it says a lot when you ask for help, but it also says a lot when you let people be who they are without thinking you need to help. Sometimes you don't need to help. Sometimes what they need is to be seen by a person that isn't pitying them and that isn't saying, "Oh, let's change it all around," And
I totally agree.
I feel like that's something that with my stepfather, after he turned to addiction and kind of, he knew that he let the family down. He moved out. We changed the locks. He was addicted to heroin, and we were estranged. And when I was able to see him intermittently between those times, he was so ashamed, and I was so confused about how to process it all and how to move on with my life without saying fuck off. It was just such a tumultuous situation. Most of it, I think, though, is the shame that you carry if you have guilt, if you've messed up. I know a lot of folks that struggle with addiction probably tune in, and my thought after having been on the other side of it isn't to bash or to shame, but it's more to say, like, it's okay to face the guilt that you feel and the pain that you feel and whatever you've caused others. At the end of the day, you're probably feeling that times 10 on the inside, and that's what's driven you to those depths. But anyway, that's what I got.
So a very good point to what you're saying is, first of all, I need to say this because it's important to hear. No one wakes up and decides to be an addict. It's not something you wake up and say, "Oh, I think I'm gonna do heroin today. It's a great idea."
Yeah.
You don't do that. It's part of addiction is self-destruction. You are trying to find a way to break yourself down, and it's just a way to do it, and you don't want to do it. It really has to do with a lot of inner pain. You don't wake up and decide that. And also, once you are an addict, you are an addict for the rest of your life. There's recovery, but you are constantly in recovery. And that's really hard. It's really hard to admit that you've let people down and you've disappointed people. The thing of it is if that person on the other end of that has true unconditional love for you, non-judgmental, beautiful, unconditional love for you, they're going to let you in, they're going to hold you, and you're going to get through it with them. And that's part of this, what we're saying right here, right? It's about safe space. And to find that is something you should not let go of. Like, it's rare. And, you know, trust and respect go right along with it. Now, you might lose that for a little bit. I just recently read this great, great sentence, and it fits perfectly for here. And it's about love. And it says you need to true love. And that doesn't mean like relationship. It just means true love. Like, you know, I adore you. Like, you know that I love you. And there's all different forms of love. But to love somebody means that when they're at their worst, you're at their best, because that's what they need, is they need you at your best. So whether they're really low and they're just at their worst of their life, you have to give them even more love, because that's the only way they're going to get through it, and you're going to get through it. And then that'll come back to you. It's just finding that, you know, finding that those people in your lives, your tribe, that can give you that type of love.
And sometimes the most painful moment is not getting that when you reach for it, when you ask for forgiveness, or when you come back. And I think sometimes the hardest thing to do is probably to make peace with the fact that everyone's not going to be that for you.
Right.
And everyone's not going to love you unconditionally. Probably very few people are ever going to love us unconditionally.
Absolutely.
And so to be able to get past that, to get past losing people like that, and still be okay, and still make peace with the fact that you tried and that you are doing the best you can. That's something that, to the point that we were just making up around that song, I really wish that I would have been able to have that conversation with my stepdad, because I know that not forgiving him, it's not necessarily that I didn't forgive him, but I moved on hardcore,
right.
Left the state, pursued a baseball career, and never looked back. And I think that made everything much worse for him over the next 5-6 years that he did live. So yeah, if I had to do it again, I would either offer forgiveness or find a way to make peace with the fact that it wasn't going to happen.
So what you said is really important, because I can remember, like, I had a very big circle. I thought all these people were my friends. Then as things got heavy or hard, they ran like the hills, because they couldn't handle it. And your circle needs to be small with people that you trust and that you love. That's number one. It just does. I'm going to put you on the spot. I think we got a little bit more time. I think we're going to end it like
this.
Yeah,
we do. Yeah, like 9 minutes, it looks like.
We have 9 minutes. So we're going to talk for a couple more minutes about hard things, because I recently just said this to a friend, and my comment was, you can do hard things. We don't realize that we can. We struggle really hard and we have a difficult time, but we can do hard things. We can. We just have to have a little bit of faith, which is really fucking hard to do. You know, faith is really hard. It boggles my mind how people have like this blind faith. It's pretty wild. But we also have to trust in the people around us to give us the support that we need. Hard things are hard for a reason. They're, you know, I hate to say they're testing us, because that's not really what it is, but that's how we learn. We learn from the hard things. The really easy things and the great things in life are that we don't learn a lesson from that. We don't grow and evolve. So hard things, we can do them. So we have a friend who's going through a really hard time right now. And I'd like you to play the lowdown for her. And she's also she's a family member of Steven's, and I think it's a great song, and I think that she could really use the lyrics and the words to it. Would you mind playing it?
No, not at all. I will caveat that I haven't played that one in a while, so give me a minute to tune up.
We're gonna give him a minute to tune it up. I mean, I could play Justin Bieber's and sing it. You know that I want to.
Let's see. To be honest with you, it's always embarrassing, but when you write so many songs, there are times where you forget your own songs.
Of course.
So
how could you not?
Right now, I need to remember the chord shapes for this song, and then I'll be so
You're
happy to play it.
We have no. I put you totally on the spot right now.
No, it's good. I should be able to play this dang song, but I just wrote. It's the most recent song that I wrote. I wrote it probably, 2 months ago, and recorded it, and then moved on to the next one. So
Well, I think that Kathy would really appreciate you playing this song, and we'll, and we just need to remember, shout out to her, and that you can do hard things.
Definitely.
You let me know when you're ready. I can leave you on screen by yourself, but
I'm gonna fiddle for a minute. I'll probably just end up playing the song.
That's what she said.
Because I wrote the lyrics first and foremost. I know all the lyrics, but the chord shapes kind of threw in last second for production. So I'll play it originally how I wrote it. And
awesome.
It's not going to sound like it does on Spotify, but it'll be what it is.
Well, Spotify, we have you live.
Yeah, that's right.
All right, I'm going to jump off and let him fiddle around and play a little bit. And then we're going to go right after that. So we're just going to transition after you play, Blake. Just say goodbye to everybody. And then I'll shut the live off because I think it's a great way to end it.
Perfect. That's beautiful. Thank you so much again, AnnMarie. I can't wait for next time.
Me too. Love you. Love you too.
I need to talk to you, 'cause I hear you crashing, and life is better when we're laughing. This can't be fixed, only carried. Sometimes you don't have to keep your head high, even bright lights go low. Meet me in 10. I'll pick you up when you're feeling low. Get your heels high and baby let it go. Meet me in 10. If you're scared, you can let it show. It's not a journey, it's a war that you're fighting. But it can't steal your story with just one word. And your world is changed forever. Don't have to keep your head high, even bright lights go low. Meet me in 10. I'll pick you up when you're feeling low. Get your heels high and baby let it go. Meet me in 10, yeah, yeah. If you're scared, you can let it show. It's not a journey, it's a war. You haven't said a word. I guess you're really missing home. They say you don't have far to go, and that you're not alone, yeah. You're not alone. Meet me in 10. I'll pick you up when you're feeling low. Get your heels high, baby, let it go. Meet me in 10, yeah, yeah. If you're scared, you can let it show. It's not a journey, it's a war. It's not a journey, it's a war.
Thank you.